Hello and welcome back to another episode of the DIYguy.net. Alright, today we're going to show you how to install a set of driving lights, or daytime running lights. This is Philips LED Daylight 8 brand. I like these because they come with a control box, auto on, auto off. You don't have to do a lot of extra wiring, it's kind of plug and play. They have nice watertight connectors where the light meets the control box. They give you plenty of wire. So we're going to do that on an 07 Forester. Alright, before we start, I just want to show you these brackets. This is what they mount into or click. You just push them in, they click in. There's two Phillips screws they give you, so you can mount them here and here and screw it against something. Or there's actually a hole right here, and the same on the other side, where you can screw through it and go up or down to mount it on something. In this car, we're going to mount them right here and right here. So we can't even get the Phillips screwdriver that's offset in there. It's not enough room. So we're going to use double stick 3M tape on this car. It's an 07 Forester. You might want to think about where you're installing them in your car and whether you need the 3M tape. So the first thing we do is open our Phillips driving light, spread it out a little bit, kind of get it organized to what it is. Next we're going to pull the hood release, open the hood, and use our prop rod to hold it open. Alright, so now that we got the hood propped open, you can go ahead and grab a Phillips screwdriver and a pair of needle nose pliers or flat screwdriver, depending on what clips you have in here. We're going to remove these 6 clips here across the front so we can remove the grill. Once you get the centerpiece out, little Phillips screw kind of deal, you want to just reach through the grill or use your needle nose pliers and pop it up. I find it easier just to reach through, push up, and you can kind of just push them right out of there. So now that we got all 6 clips removed, we can just lift the grill out, slide it forward to the front of the car. Alright, this is the point where we're going to mount the lights. So if you're going to use your bracket, go ahead, use your Phillips screws and your Phillips screwdriver, mount it to the back or up to the top, or wherever you're going to mount it, and wherever you're going to mount it. Since we're going to use the 3M tape to mount ours because we can't get a screwdriver in here, it's kind of narrow, we're going to take an alcohol wipe and prep the area to make sure the 3M tape will stick where we plan to mount the light on both sides. We'll give it a second so it'll evaporate. Alright, so now that we have the car wiped down with our alcohol wipe, we'll go ahead and wipe down the light on the side we plan to mount it. We'll let this dry for a second. Then we'll open our 3M tape, cut a piece the length of our light. We'll peel one side of the tape, stick it to our light. We don't want to peel the other side yet because we can actually position it on the car where we want it and then pull the other layer off and stick it to the bumper. So here's our driving light with our 3M tape mounted on there. We cut it to length. We also did 2 rows to fill the width of the light to make sure it really stays on there and won't go anywhere. Depending on how you're mounting it, take your time to make sure you're putting the lettering or words the right way. It looks a little nicer. They took a little time to make sure it's facing the right way. That way when you show someone, they don't say you mounted it upside down. Alright, so the next step would be to fish our wire up here and out the grill for now, because we're going to mount the light right here. There is a difference between the 2 lights. One has a longer cord than the other. That way it'll reach across and over to our battery. So for this installation, we're going to use the longer one on the passenger side and the shorter one on the driver's side because our control box will be over here on the driver's side closer to the battery. If yours is reverse, you want to do the reverse. So we'll fish the end of our wire up. And out the grill. We'll kind of position our light where we want it. And we'll do the same thing on the passenger side. Alright, so we pulled the wire through the grill. We got the lights down here. We're going to final adjust them, get them where we want them. You may want to take a tape measure and a pencil and make a little mark. That way they're both the same distance away from one point, or use a reference points on the bumper. So now we got the light where we want it. We made a little mark, or we can just use that reference point. So we're just going to pull it out, pull off the other side of that 3M tape, and stick it to the bumper. Once you get out where you want it, squeeze it really tight and make sure it really attaches to the bumper. Make sure it doesn't wiggle. It's on there nice and tight. Alright, the next step is to get our wires out of the grill area and into the engine compartment near our battery, or where we plan to mount the box. The best way is to follow the hood release cable. It's a nice wide open path through here. So we'll just do both cables through and into the engine compartment. Now that we got them inside, we'll go ahead and figure out where we want to mount our box. So now that we got the wires close to our battery, we can figure out where we want to position our box. They probably give you a 2-foot lead of your positive and negative that needs to be hooked to the battery. They also give you about the same amount of this orange wire, which has got to be hooked to your marker light. And what that does is when your headlights or the marker light is turned on, it'll actually dim the driving lights. And these are our 2 leads for the lights. Alright, so I installed the box. I didn't want to bore you too much with it because it's where you want to put it and how clean you want the install to look. Some people screw it through these little brackets to the side or zip tie it. We just use the 3M tape that we don't create a hole that could rust. We mounted it right on the inside of the strut tower. Our lines go along the AC line. We zip tied it to it right out to the front where the lights are. The power wire comes under the main fuse box here and then just pops out right at our battery where we got a positive and a negative to hook up. We still got to hook up our marker light. Before we hook any of that up, we'll go out front. We'll tuck up the excess wire behind the grill or bumper so you don't see it, and then reinstall the grill. Before you hook up the power and ground, you also want to make sure the lights are connected. So what we did, just ball up the extra wire, zip tie it together, then we zip tie it to this little wire, but make sure it's below the grill. That way you look in the grill, you don't see the wires. They're tucked nicely behind the bumper. Alright, so now that we've got the wires tucked nicely behind the bumper and we won't see them when we look in the grill, we'll go ahead and reinstall our grill and just slide it straight in. These little clips here are going to clip right into the bumper. Just got it in. Make sure the bottom's clicked in. We'll go ahead and reinstall those 6 clips across the top. Putting the bottom part of it in first, and then the screw part of it next. Install all 6. Next, you're going to need a ratchet and a 10mm socket or a 10mm wrench, so we can loosen this right here on both the positive and negative and slide in our ends for a control box. Once you loosen it, push the nut a little bit away and slide in the connector. Once we have it in, we'll go ahead and tighten it down. Once we have the negative done, we'll go ahead and do it with the positive. So we have that loose. What we're going to do is actually stick ours through this rubber boot. Open through, and then onto our bolt. So where we want it. We'll run it down finger tight and then tighten it with the ratchet. Set that in. Alright, now that we got our positive side connected, we'll go ahead and slide our rubber boot on. We'll grab a T-tap and connect our marker light, and then we'll show you what they look like. Alright, so we're going to start the car. We're going to show you what they look like with the headlights off, which will be nice and bright. We'll turn the headlights on. They'll auto dim. We'll turn the headlights back off. They'll go back bright. And actually, when we shut the car down, they'll automatically turn off. Headlights on. Headlights off. Car off. So now that we tested it and everything works as it should, that's it. We just showed you how to install a set of daytime running lights or driving lights. Thanks for watching another episode of the DIYguy.net. If you just finished building the subscribe button, click that to get the latest DIY fixes delivered right to you. If you just finished building the What's Next button, you can click that and we'll help you figure out what you want to fix next. You can also click the link in the description which takes you to our website for a full write-up.